I'd like to get use some of the time to talk about some comments about
Yeah,
that I particularly had.
yeah.
Okay.
I've been there, so I can comment a little
All
bit
right.
on it.
Guys, this is the Old Farts. Um, Tonight we've got three of us: Bob Krieg, Pat Moreno, Chuck Beauregard, and we're going to open up the conversation talking about the United States and China. The reason for that is that both Chuck and I have attended this week meetings concerning through the Great Decisions organization. We can talk about that at another time. But the topic of this week was the U.S. and China. And since Chuck literally just got back from a session, why don't we let him open up and say what he thought of it, because I have my ideas as well.
Well, can you briefly summarize, Bob, what some aspects of your meeting? I think you had 12 or 13 people there.
Yeah. Basically, Great Decisions is a magazine put out by the Foreign Policy Association. And in the last couple of years, they've also done a video, which originally was a summary of the articles that we would be reading, but this time took a totally different tact. So basically what we talked about in our group was how the various options that the United States, basically the Trump administration, had in dealing with China. They saw it as an economic challenge. They saw it as a political challenge and as a military challenge. The video took a different approach to the same issues. So it was kind of interesting and generated a lot of conversation in our group.
Now, excuse me there, Bob. Did Pat say he's been to China?
Yes.
How many years ago was that, Pat?
Probably 12, 13. Not that long ago. I mean,
So Mao was in charge then also, right?
No.
no.
Mao's been
It
gone
was a
for 30,
transition
40
period
years.
when the Americans
Who was in charge 12 years ago?
of the Chinese regime.
Yes.
The communists had made a significant advances. I don't recall who exactly, but the country was much more open than it is today in terms of going. I saw residue of the American Army, the American Air Force that was in China helping the nationalists.
Okay.
And I saw other things that were of the same. So it was a big transition period. The communists had not quite taken over yet, but they were close.
Let me ask you this, Pat. What brought you to China?
We had, as a matter of fact, I was making a list today of the places that my wife and I have been privileged to visit, and I ran out of lines after 90 different countries or different situations. China was one of the outstanding visits. We flew in from the north over Manchuria into China and visited most of it, as much as we could get within to include, I think it was 4 days on the Yangtze River, traveling on the river, and not only traveling by boat, but we got onto sampans, which are those small, and they have the oarsmen who push them, and we went to some of the shores to see some of the historic backgrounds of the Yangtze River. It was fascinating.
How long were you there for?
I believe it was 15 days altogether.
No,
and we traveled all over.
My question earlier was, what brought you there? I mean,
we had traveled. I have written about it. I was just talking Bob about it. I have written about it extensively, and
Were you part of were you part of a private group?
no, the gist of the book is, and it is a book. The gist of the book is all of our travels. My wife and I have traveled extensively everywhere, all of Europe, the islands. I mean, just about most of the European countries. The only country I have not been to, significant country, is Russia. We came close, including Finland and just about every country in Europe. And then
While you were in China, did you go to Hong Kong?
no, no,
How
we
about
did not.
Taiwan?
There were so many things to see. I don't know if you know about the terracotta warriors that they
No, I
discovered.
don't.
Okay, it's a fascinating story. We don't have time to get. When I see you sometime in the future, hopefully in the spring, I will show you the material that I brought home about the It's a fascinating story.
Now, do you or Bob remember the Tiananmen Square when that happened?
Yes.
No, no, not when it happened, but in Tiananmen Square, yes.
I wasn't
Short-
there,
How
but
long
I
ago did
remember.
that happen?
Yeah. No, not when it happened. No, I
What
15,
year-
20
what
years ago,
what
I
year
think.
Did that, what year did that happen?
I don't remember, but 15 to 20 years.
yeah, I forget the
Right.
exact date.
Can I correct some
Sure.
factual stuff?
Yeah.
You were talking about the communists kind of getting in control of China when you were there. Mao died in somewhere it's late 60s, 70s, and after some transition, Deng took over, and he was trying to create state capitalism, where the party was still kind of in control, but there was an awful lot of small business that was operating, in the country, and it made a major change in the country. When Kissinger and Nixon went to China to open it up to the world, that was
Now,
under
that was
Deng.
what, in the 70s?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then when Deng died, there was again a transition, and Xi took over. He's been in charge for a while. I don't remember the exact dates, but when you were there, Xi was still was in charge, and he was consolidating
when
power.
I was there, my memory,
Yeah.
I never really paid attention to the political. I was interested in culture, anything I could find. So I believe that the communists the Chinese were there, but they were not predominant at that particular point. I remember seeing an American air base where Americans were flying support for Chiang Kai-shek. And I remember seeing not
That
a
was
library.
historical thing. Chiang Kai-shek was long dead by the time you were there.
He may have been dead, but this was talking about his history
Right,
and when
the
he
history,
when he
yes.
was gone. Yeah.
Okay.
There were other things that were. The American Air Force had a small library there because they flew for the Chinese quite a bit.
Right.
And so they had a sample of the planes that they used and pictures of all the American officers and what they did and what was going on. It was fascinating. It really was.
Now, if you had an opportunity to go back there tomorrow, would you do that?
Yes. Yeah, well, within reason. I mean, right now you go there and you step out of line in any sense, especially anything toward the government, and they have no qualms about introducing you to their
Gulags.
their
Gulag is a Russian thing.
yeah,
By the way, I question that. I know that my daughter, about 10 or 12 years ago, did a documentary in China.
Oh, she was in China?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was talking about trash. I think she got an Emmy for it, so I'm very proud of it. But
What was her? What
she
did
was
you read
talking about what happens to trash.
Okay.
And they were using, New York produces hundreds of tons of trash every year, and there's no place to put it, so they put it on ships and send it down to Florida or Puerto Rico, etc., where it's processed. Um, Outside of Hawaii, there's a patch, many, many, many miles wide, of just plastic and crap.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've been in Hawaii, and I remember
Right.
hearing about
Okay,
that.
well, some of that stuff comes out of China. So they took a crew and they went to China to see how China dealt with trash.
Trash.
And an interesting thing, they found an illegal dump at a small village outside of, I think it was Peking, but I'm not sure. And uh, they were filming it, and the town, the the mayor and the town members shut them in there because they were afraid that the government would find out that they were doing this, and they had to delete from the camera all their footage. Now, as that happened, they also had some footage on cell phones, so they got enough to do their show.
I can.
But they might not have been allowed to leave
Yeah.
if they had not
Yeah.
complied.
Imagine what it's like today. When was that?
I don't know, it's 10, 15 years
Yeah.
ago. something.
Imagine what it's like
But
today.
this was not the government. This was the, if you will, the
Communist
resistance
Party.
to the government, because they were doing something that the government didn't want done. So it's an interesting thing. We're talking about how bad things are, and if you step out of line, and you're particularly if you're a foreigner, bad things can happen. We're doing similar things today
In America,
in America.
if you step out of line,
If you are a tourist, or you are somebody here on a green card, or God forbid, you are a naturalized citizen, the government is looking for opportunities to throw you out.
that's a little bit extreme, I think.
But it's happening
How do you know that?
because it's in the newspapers. They're talking about it. I know for a fact there's an organization that brings kids in to be foreign exchange students. And a friend of my daughter's, they had selected a kid from Japan.
Okay, could you bring me a water when you get a chance? Bye.
A kid from Japan, and the approval of his visa took a couple of months rather than a week or two, because they were looking for opportunities not to bring him in.
Well, there has been so much uncovered today in America of especially Chinese who have either made sincere efforts, and I've read about this and I've seen it on the news mentioned, and they not only own properties, and those properties, according to this particular one article in particular, but there were others, they buy properties that encircle U.S. air bases. And the realization came forward recently, and so now an effort is made to find a reason to move those, some of those Chinese from their positions close to the base, and they're either finding small reasons for moving them or whatnot. They're very much aware. They hadn't been aware of it, according to the two or three articles that I read on it.
Well, interestingly enough, one of the things that Trump is demanding of the countries that he's negotiating the tariffs in, and China being one of them, is that China invest some huge number, hundreds of billions of dollars in America. So he's saying, invest,
or
put
else.
our people to work, or else we're going to treat you badly. Oh, by the way, don't invest over here, invest over there. It's contrary. It's one of those things you think about and say, what the hell is he trying to do?
But think about it, Bob. If the Chinese have, and it's in the wrong, and the communist government is still in charge in China.
Yes.
So if that request goes to them and they have to look at a map and say, where should we go? They're obviously going to look for logically, for a place that has surveillance possibilities of an air base. Remember the balloons
Yeah.
that floated over the air bases, and they couldn't, they couldn't figure out who they belonged to. And subsequently, when some of them are actually on the ground and they took them apart, they found out that it was the Chinese communists who had issued those balloons, and they traveled clear across the country.
Yes.
They were over, if I remember correct, they were over New Hampshire at one point.
The reason why they got as far as they did was the Biden administration was worried that if they shot them down,
Yeah, what they had in them.
No, but
Right.
they could also land on somebody's head.
Yeah.
So they waited
Yeah.
until they got.
But even a greater is you don't know what's inside.
well,
If it was
yeah.
a kind of powder or whatnot that could have killed a lot of people.
It's conceivable. All these things are conceivable. And by the way, we're doing not balloons, I don't think, but we're doing the similar kinds of surveillance ourselves
Of
China.
Of China.
Yeah.
I think that is, my guess is, and it's just a guess, and it's based on just a little bit of knowledge that I have about China. I have continued to read whatever I could. I think it's absolutely necessary.
Okay.
Okay.
So why is
the
it
thing,
not
the only thing
necessary
that
for them
bothers
to
me
do
is
to us?
that when you have what do you call it? I forget the expression. Pro quo. In other words, if we do it to them, they have the right to do it to us.
Mm-hmm.
So, being president of the United States at this time, good. Being president of the United States at this time, I think is, I don't know how to word it. I want to say critical, but it's always been critical. Unique is important. I think that, and the reason I say that is because I think that the methods of destruction that exist today, not to mention artificial intelligence, not to mention robotics, I think is far above and beyond what is, say, for example, the Second World War or after the Second World War. It's very, very, it's more than precarious today. It's this close to being big.
Well, okay, we'll accept that. One of the things that came out of the meetings that both Chuck and I had was discussion about what should the United States be doing in the three areas we talked about:
With
the
regard
economics,
to
the economic competition,
with China or
with China,
okay,
with the political competition, and the military competition. Let's start just for convenience with the economic competition. The United States is still the biggest economy in the world. China is, I think, number 2. If not, it will be very soon. And it may be, just for no other reason, because of population, become the number 1 economy in the world in the relatively near future. Is that a bad thing if it's just the economy?
well, let me, if I got this right. China has the second largest economy.
I believe so. If not, it will soon. It will be number 1 in the foreseeable future.
I don't agree with that. From what I have read and what I have seen and what I can recall, I do not believe. I think China has more. Are you aware of what has very recently occurred with regard to the leadership? We know who the king is, who the key man is. We know who I forget his Xi. Yeah. But what he has done very recently with regard to clearing out from the top party, I forget what it's called.
Politburo.
Pardon me?
Politburo.
Okay, if that's
It's
okay.
It's a name
what
from
he
the
has
Russians.
done,
Yeah.
what Xi, the leader, has done in order to get rid of those who are opposed to his idea. He has now been in charge for 4 years.
Oh no, a lot more than that.
Is it a lot more?
A lot
It may
more
be.
than that.
Okay. So he's been around. So between the military and the civilian, his leadership now, there is always opposition, is what my understanding is. There's always the military and military leaders, most recently, key military leaders have been asked or told to leave. Okay? And that has gone on now for 2 years, I think. You know, you don't agree with me? Tomorrow you receive a letter.
Is that a bad thing? Is Xi doing something good or bad by doing that?
It depends on what you look at and what he's doing. For one thing, for the very first thing in my mind, are the people, the medical people, not even exclusively medical people, but other people who are taking in, what's the name of the people that they control?
Medical people.
But China. I can't think of the name. There are two different peoples that they can, not to mention the.
You mean the Uyghurs?
Yes.
Okay.
The Uyghurs is one.
Yeah.
Okay, and they have been consistently bringing them in, and operating for organs is huge business. And the United States has just begun to seriously talk about, I've read quite a bit about it. They have seriously begun to talk about how and what they can do, because what the Chinese are doing with regard to taking organs and selling them at huge amounts of money to whoever can afford them. And that includes the possibility of foreigners, not just Chinese. But the wealthy Chinese have been buying the organs. You know, my heart doesn't work or my spleen doesn't work. Give me a new one. So they grab one of the Uyghurs and they bring them in and they look and see. And this has been going on. The United States just recently, the other thing that's fascinating too about what's going on in China is the, you know, the dance group that's here in America?
Yeah.
And
I can't remember the name, but yeah.
Well, they're prosecuting them because they are Chinese and they are making money and they are showing the best of the Chinese culture. And the communists are very much opposed to that.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. By the way, you started talking about something a little bit earlier about Xi consolidating power by getting rid of
military
people who don't agree with him.
Yes.
And I asked you a question which you ignored, and that is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't think any of the moves that Xi makes. When I say any of the moves, I'm not talking about domestic improvements, which are even hard to believe, because his world is the whole world, and he's looking for Chinese dominance everywhere.
Okay.
Not the least of is the Communist Party.
I asked you a question deliberately because one of the first things that that Trump's Secretary of Defense did was he called in all of the top generals and fired a whole bunch of them without any particular reason. DEI was for some of them, but not all. And so essentially he's doing what she did. And
Not quite. I don't quite agree
well,
with
it's
that.
the same thing. He's firing
No, he
the
fired them,
generals.
but the important thing is why.
Well, I'm asking a question because if she was doing a good thing, let's say for China, then you could say that Trump and his organization is doing a good thing for America. If it's a bad thing for China, it's probably a bad thing for America. And what I'm going to be following through on is, in large measure, Xi is further along than Trump, but they're following the same playbook, where there is one source of power, and you either play or you don't. And whether you don't or not depends on Russia. They drop you out of a window. In China, I don't think they do that.
The concept here in America, every 4 years, you're gone.
Well,
in China,
yeah,
Xi has been in power now for, I'm guessing, 8 or 9 years.
Oh, a lot more than that.
Even more than that.
Keep in mind, Trump was very proud of the fact that early in his first presidency, he visited Xi and they got along real well. So Xi's been in power a lot longer.
Okay.
So, I mean,
I
you
knew it was
do the
long. I
math.
didn't know exactly how
Yeah.
long. But yes, he has been in power, and most recently has made, and what he has done is singled out 3 military leaders, very important leaders, and he has somehow, I don't know how, they don't have a definite how it's done, but at any rate, they were gone, gone, gone.
Right.
And the reason they were gone was because Xi wanted to stay in power.
I understand that.
That
When I-
doesn't happen in America.
It did happen in America. It
How?
happened last year, this time.
Who? I mean,
Haig says hold
the-
in all of the chiefs of all
So-
the services.
so you're suggesting that the Constitution is not working?
The civilians in America are in charge of the military ultimately.
What do you mean by in charge?
They direct the military. The military doesn't make a decision, a overall decision. By the way, Chuck, this is a subject that I thought you'd be involved in.
Yeah, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, but
No, I didn't want to interrupt this conversation. I figured you didn't see me on the screen anymore, so you figured maybe I left because I was considering it.
No. I apologize. I'm the big mouth.
Well, no, I think Bob's very close. I think it's a toss-up between the two of you.
I do what I can.
But
What are your feelings with regard to how is China being run today, as opposed to how America is being run today?
I don't choose to talk about that.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I don't have a better feel for that. I have some specific examples from tonight's meeting
Okay.
that I shared, and what you guys were just talking about sprung another thought in my mind that I'd like to share also, and that's you were talking about in China using organs of other people. Is that right, Pat?
Yes.
Okay.
Big
Are
business.
you both aware that there are more than 10 states in the U.S. that have assisted suicide available? I think it's really 12 or 13, but I'll say 10.
I didn't think there were that many, but yes, I know there's some.
Yeah. I
Oregon,
ditto.
for example.
Which I think would probably be foolish not to believe that soon assisted suicide will lead to organ donations of many people. I think that's right around the corner.
I'm
I
sure
think.
that.
Secondly, going back to what we talked about tonight, I stood up and brought 2 subjects up that, as I said to the group, and there was probably about 20 people, that 2 things that I had on my mind that I heard nobody say anything about. One is the large number of Chinese students that are going to school in this country. I personally don't know any Chinese people. I can't recall even meeting any Chinese people. But I'll say that I believe the vast majority of Chinese people are probably very nice people. It's the leadership of their country that's in question. But I cannot disbelieve the fact that the Chinese government is monitoring these thousands of college students that are from China that are in various colleges throughout the country. I came across a story fairly recently that presently they're down to the Chinese have 1 police station in New York City that's controlled by the Chinese.
Yes.
At one point, they had 5 or 6.
Yes.
And I'm sure what they're there for, it's really nothing to do with U.S. citizens,
Exactly.
but it's to monitor the activities and
Of
be
the,
prepared to talk to these college students as well as other Chinese people.
yep.
The second item is this thing about birthright citizenship. I just finished. Well, I've got a book, and by a fellow that I've read a number of his books before, and he talks that he's talked to a lot of people with connections, saying that over the past 15 years, somewhere between 35,000 and 100,000 Chinese women have come to this country to give birth to the children, and then they go back to China. With the advent that once they turn 18, they'll be able to come to this country and vote. There's nothing presently under the U.S. laws. There's nothing preventing these Chinese people to get away from doing that.
Right on.
Okay.
What they're doing is unfortunately very legal, but at the same time, I think it's more and more important for us to do something about this birthright citizenship. I choose to believe that the Supreme Court many years ago was mistaken on how they interpreted what was written as far as birthright citizenship, which was designed to take care of the slaves, the black slaves,
Right.
And not to be a perpetual thing going on. So I'm hopeful that the Supreme Court will make a change somewhere in the near future.
Completely agree.
Chuck, a couple of things to think about. Number one, I think your numbers are probably wrong, but I'm sure there are some people, not only from China, but from various other parts of the world.
Okay, I want to stop for a minute, Bob.
Right.
What do you mean? What numbers of mine are wrong?
The idea that there could be 100,000 women a year who come to the United States.
Okay, I
Pregnant.
said anywhere between 35,000 and 100.
Okay, let's take your 35,000 number. There's no way to verify it, but let's assume that's the case. There are 300 million about 340 million people in the United States today. 340
But they're not
million.
all voters.
No, agreed. A lot of them are kids, and some of them would like to vote but can't for a
And
variety of reasons.
three more years, and by the year 2028, whatever that number of people are, say it's 30,000, will be eligible to vote in this country.
Okay, they're eligible to vote. What difference is it going to make to the electorate? It's the same thing that you're worried about, where there's people. There are people who are
Bob,
voting illegally.
I'm not overly worried about it because it's going to be dead and buried before it really has an impact for this country.
Well,
What I'm concerned about is the people who have children and grandchildren that are going to be could be impacted by this in another 20 to 30 years.
And you know what? You're exactly right, because all these people in the 1840s who came from Ireland because they were starving to death, they came to the United States, and we tried to get rid of them. We did what we could to get rid of them and make things miserable. And today, the Irish are a major voting bloc in America, and it's created all kinds of problems. Or maybe not. Maybe these people become integrated. The small numbers. Right now, you and I have had this debate before. There's a major issue in America, people who are voting illegally, who are not citizens and voting. And it turns out, according to the Heritage Foundation, that's not Antifa, I guarantee it, there's about the maximum in any electoral cycle was 170. It does not have an effect.
What's the 170?
The number of people who voted illegally in the United States.
170 people?
170 people, according to the Heritage Foundation.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that information, Bob.
I will see if I can dig it out. But
Not something that's typed up by you.
well, as normal, I find it online and I send you the reference.
But 170 is meaningless.
Yes,
Pat,
that's
what
the
do you-
point. But if you're fixing something that isn't broke, you're likely to break it worse.
Pat,
refuse
what's
to
your
bel-
thoughts, Pat?
I refuse to believe that any of the European countries, peoples that you're talking about, you mentioned the Irish in particular, can be equated in any kind of an equation with regard to the Chinese communists today. I mean, they have shown in so many instances where they are trying subterfuge in every aspect of the American economy. And I thank God that Trump has made some of the moves that he has made and is, I think, in my estimation, has shown himself to be, I don't care whether he stole or had sex before, that is meaningless to me. I think he is an American who is looking out for America. And I don't think that the Chinese, as they exist today, there are good Chinese here. Have you heard about, are you familiar with the classical dance group here in America?
We were talking about that a moment ago.
They have become huge. They have programs now.
I'm sorry, Pat. What? I couldn't understand what you said.
Okay, you know have you heard of the Chinese dance group that is
No,
so prevalent in America today? They're in every major city now. I have seen them.
How do you say that? Pronounce that or spell it?
Chinese,
Chinese,
something or another.
I forget what their official name is. I should know it. They are a professional dance group that represents China as it used to be,
Yeah, I
not
know who
as
you're
it is under communism today.
I know who
and
you.
they
I
do
believe
it
I know
with
who you're
dance.
talking. Yeah,
And
I
they-
believe I know who you're talking about
Yeah.
now.
They have a program in almost every major city in America now
Yeah, I
and
know
in the
who.
near future.
I believe I know who you're talking about now.
At any rate, what I'm trying to express is that there's a big difference between the Chinese communists, they are not predominant, well, they are predominant in China today, but in terms of numbers, they do not amount to more than the Chinese nationalists who are honorable and who are Chinese citizens. There's a big difference between them.
Number one, the People's Republic of China is something like 800, 900 million people.
Yeah, that's
Million
China
people.
overall.
And Taiwan is significantly less. I don't have numbers on that.
Oh, it's probably only about 5-10 million.
And as with most organizations, most groups, there are people that I approve of, therefore they must be good, and people I don't approve of, therefore they must be bad. So to say that there are very few Chinese communists, in fact, the Chinese Communist Party is something that is a privilege. You get to join if you show that you, it's a privilege. You aren't allowed to join.
No more. Recent reports,
Yeah.
people, have you heard of, what is the group that, God, my memory, an immense group by a leader. They have performed in the streets of New York. They have rallied in every major city. They are opposed to China, the communist Chinese, and especially the leadership of the Chinese communists and the military.
Okay.
My understanding is, yes, the numbers of the Chinese Communist Party are more than significant, but China as a country, in spite of how many people they have lost, come to America, gone to the world, all over.
They've lost more people by the one-child policy than any immigration could ever possibly be.
I would contest that.
No, they have gone the other way, and they're now paying people to have kids.
Right. I would contest all of that because I have read many articles where the Chinese Communist Party right now, organs. They bring people in, the Uyghurs have
Yeah.
suffered enormously.
Right.
And the other one is the, what is that other group that is in, and I've been there, in, no, in west of China, not only the, oh God help me, my memory, not only the, what do they call them, those who are religious, but there's another whole people that exists.
Well, the Uyghurs are Muslim.
The Uyghurs are Muslim,
Yeah.
but there's another group beyond that. And the Chinese have been taking from the Uyghurs in particular and operating on them for organs. And this has been.
Yeah, I want to butt in, Pat. I believe you're correct. I just want to clarify something I guess I said earlier, because it's not the same. I mean, you're talking about them harvesting organs off of live people.
Exactly.
Whereas what I was talking about, and it's a different situation, although the results could very well be similar, is when people in this country, and Canada is also involved, when they pass away, they can will their heart, whatever other organ they want, or they can sign some papers saying, take whatever body parts you want.
Yes.
So it's a kind of a different situation, but the end result will be pretty much the same.
By the way, there are people today in America give body parts, pieces of the liver, kidneys, etc. And in some cases, they give it because a relative needs it, and in some cases, it's sold. And yes, when somebody commits suicide, voluntary suicide, one of the things that often, not always, it's up to the individual themselves, but they may will their body parts.
I agree with that, Bob.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about, that there seems to be a direction at this point in time that certain medical doctors may in fact not try to cure somebody's illness, because they probably don't have that long to live anyways. You might as well let them die, because they're better off dead than for somebody else. So I mean, this is a different type of situation. It's all meshed together.
But in China, my understanding, and I've read quite a bit about it, it's forced harvesting of
Yeah, I
body
agree.
organs. It is.
I agree,
you
Pat.
you don't have it, and most of the victims are the Uyghurs.
Yeah, I agree with that,
Yeah,
Pat.
they bring them in and they take a heart or a spleen or whatever, and then sell it for big money to the Chinese public or to whomever, who God only knows who. But it's forced harvesting.
Yeah, I've heard
And
that
that's
same
very
thing.
different.
I assume based upon who I've heard say it, I believe it's true.
Yes, I do too. I think it's, and if you look at this dance group that I'm talking about, they are once again, my memory, but they are about, I think it was 6 or 7 million strong, mostly here in America. They demonstrate on a regular basis on the main avenues of New York, holding signs, marching and whatnot, because they are so opposed to, and they're trying to get, of course, they're trying to get the American government. And the American government, most recently, has been more responsive. Our Secretary of State, what's his name? The
Rubio.
Cuban. And he and
Rocco.
the president have intermingled, or they have looked into the problem, and they totally agree that what is going on in China. Have you heard about the American newspaper out of New York? It must be the New York Times. And the owner, this is a recent story, the owner went to China
Okay.
to either interview or to befriend or to try and get stories, I don't know. But the Chinese leadership, the communist leadership, sold themselves well enough so that he came back, he was the owner, he came back, and the New York Times over the past year, has been writing stories in commemoration, in celebration of what the Chinese are doing. The only paper in America that was doing that. I don't know if you heard about it.
I have not heard anything
Okay.
like that.
It was most pronounced, especially in the printing industry. There was the only paper that sided with the Chinese communists. Every other paper was opposed to, and especially opposed to, body parts, harvesting body parts.
Pat, if you could find that article where we could find that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, please do, because
I will. I'll try. I mean, I don't. It was in a past. It was, but it's in every single paper that I get.
Well, you get a limited number of papers.
I stopped reading the New York Times. I stopped reading the New York Times years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I stopped reading some other papers years ago as well.
I do too. I don't buy the Boston Globe's off my list also.
No, the one that I get it's out on the table, and I have researched them, and they are Chinese owned.
Okay.
And they are so opposed to the Chinese regime existing today in every aspect.
By the way, just because somebody who is ethnically Chinese does not mean, as you're implying, you may not mean, but you're implying that it's controlled by the Chinese communists.
The paper?
Yeah.
No. I didn't mean that at all.
You're talking, Pat, you're talking about the Epic Times, right?
Yes. I have a copy of it on the table over here. The Epic Times, I have been getting it now for 2 or 3 years, and they are dead on in everything, every question that I've asked of them. And it's Chinese American owned. And they are so opposed to the Chinese regime today in China that I'm stunned. I'm stunned when I say, how can they talk about their, and they do, and they bring up every single article. And one of the biggest issues has been the big Chinese dance, I forget the name of my memory.
Dance group, yeah.
Anyway, they have used that as an example. I sincerely believe, and I've read a lot, and maybe the sources, but I've looked for other sources too, and they are the most complete. Anyway.
Okay. I was asking a question several points in time during the show. I'd like to get an answer, and that is, if China becomes the number
today,
the People's Republic of China becomes the number one economy in the world, why is that a bad thing?
Well, it depends on how they did it.
No, they did it because they're
if they used illegal, where they oppress other people in order to get on top.
I hate to tell you that the American economy was built on oppression, not only slavery in the South, but essentially slavery in the North.
We're talking about time. Slavery in America was then.
Right.
What's going on in China is today.
Actually, China is their prosperity, the average income of the average Chinese is significantly better than it was 40, 50 years ago. And it's not necessarily true of the United States in the last 20 years, but that's a different story. The question is, if their economy grows, Chinese economy grows so that it surpasses
legally.
What is legal is a question.
You kill people to make an to be able to sell body parts at high prices.
And
that's part of the
willing
economy.
to bet you that if we did a little research, we'd find out it's true in the United States. That's immaterial. They're not going to become number one economy in the world because they sell body parts. I guarantee that's not true.
They're making big money, and this group God help my memory, this group that I'm talking about, this Chinese group, the dance group that's here, is now up to, I think the last time I heard it was like 6.5 million people. Okay,
On
which
the
is
dance troupe?
significant.
No, that's not. The dance troupe is not 6.5 million people. I guarantee
The
it.
people in that party, the people who have, and
Okay.
they have been out in New York in particular, on the streets, with signs marching in big numbers, and they have grown now.
But again, I'm trying to get to a particular point because I think it's important. Is however they get there, if they rob banks, if they become the number one economy in the world, that doesn't
China.
mean that we are now don't exist. We'll be the number two economy in the world. Is it a bad thing? I'm not saying that we shouldn't do what we can to try to stay number one, but is it such a horrible thing if we become number two?
I think we are number two in so many categories, especially in minerals, valuable minerals that is used in technology today. The Chinese control most of it.
Okay, factually, that was something that came out of the session I had Tuesday and Chuck had tonight. Rare earth metals are not all that rare. The problem is to refine them,
Harvest them.
to dig them up and refine them
Right.
is A, very expensive, and B, screws up the environment around it. And what China is doing, your friends the Uyghurs, they're doing the processing out there because they don't really care about.
The Uyghurs are doing it?
No,
No,
the
the
Chinese
okay.
government or
Yeah,
the
okay.
corporations.
What do you mean with the Uyghurs? I'm not.
It's in the west part of China.
Oh, okay, okay.
And in the United States, we aren't willing to have that done here. I used an example on Tuesday. When I was living in Tennessee, there was major copper mines in East Tennessee. And when we would be driving to New York, you'd go past Copper Hill, which is where they put all the sludge, all the crap that came out of the mines and the processing. And nothing was alive there. And in the United States, at this point, we're not willing to do that.
Well,
So,
Bob,
yeah.
I think you have to be corrected
Yeah.
that we're going back in that direction, although on a much cleaner basis than maybe we did many years ago.
Yeah, well,
But
hopefully we are.
We're opening up land that was not available before the Trump administration.
I agree. I've heard it.
Right. If you go and you grab, for example, tribal land, which treaties said belongs to, should be under the control of an individual tribe, and you say, screw that, we don't care about treaties. We don't care what it was said as a country X number of years ago. Yeah, they can go grab that stuff. And we'll open up all the national parks because we don't really care about the environment, and we don't care about a place because
I have been to all of the national parks out
Yeah.
west. I've been to every single one, and
Congratulations.
they are formidable. They are. Talk to my wife about it.
Well-
And to think that someone comes in and is drilling and taking ore without them knowing it, and with the agreement of the American government, I think is a little bit preposterous.
actually it's they're trying to open these things up.
I think,
Trying.
Bob, you should
Well, they're doing.
should stop being so negative.
Yes, I agree.
What? I missed that.
He
What-
said
They're
I
going to
shouldn't
call
be
you
negative.
Bob Negative.
The funny thing is that in many respects I'm a very optimistic person, but that's neither here nor there. Factually,
You could fool me.
yes, factually, we are trying very hard to take minerals out of areas where we don't necessarily need them. For example, and I find this fascinating, Trump is trying very hard to get more and more oil produced out of the United States so he could drop the price of oil, which personally I think would be a very nice thing. But the interesting part is that the oil that we are producing in the United States today, maybe not so much before, but today, is very expensive. So the moment you drop the price of oil below a certain amount, and I thought it was something like $50, it might have been $60 a barrel, it's no longer profitable to produce the oil in the United
Well, the
States.
economy would adjust to that, no?
No,
I mean,
what'll
oil is
happen
gonna
is we'll
stay
get the
up
oil
high
from
all
somewhere
by
else.
itself.
Huh?
Oil is going to be at a high point all by itself, and it's going to stay there.
No, it
I
goes
can't
up and
believe.
down
I would
constantly.
think there's so many things that come into play with that affect that, other than in the economy, in the American economy. I ask both of you. Do you believe in America?
What is America? It's a real
I do.
The
question.
country
much.
It's
that
a real
we
question.
currently have.
Is it the dirt? Is it the
No,
people?
no,
Is it the
no,
idea?
no. It's the government and the people in general, and the way how they live or want to live. Okay? I don't know what to exclude.
I'll tell you
There
what. Let me take your point and answer it.
Okay.
I believe, number one, in the American ideals. I don't think we live up to them, but I think we make an attempt to.
but where do
Two-
we live? Where are we in terms of those ideals?
Trying to achieve them.
Okay.
Okay, but
Isn't that important?
yes, it is.
Trying.
And that's, to me, number one. Number two is the population, the people who live here. I think in general, not all, but in general, they want to live a decent life, and they don't, in general, mind if somebody else lives a decent life as well. So I believe in the people. So do I believe in America on those two bases? Yes. On the dirt, I don't care.
What do you mean by the dirt? What they dig and do?
No, if
The bad stuff?
no, it's if Castle Island suddenly became Chinese or Russian or Polish,
Oh.
I don't care.
Oh, no. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Well,
how can you have a people happy who want to live under the aegis of the American way of life, to include the Declaration of Independence, and then to bring in other people who don't believe in it, and you're going to expect them to
actually,
be?
the other people, as a general rule, not all, but as a general rule, came here because they believe in the ideal.
So who are the bad people that you're talking about?
I didn't say that.
Well, I mean, they're different. You
In
made two
every
categories.
in every group, there are good people and bad people. You know how I define the difference? If they do what I want them to do, they're good people. If they do something else, they're bad people.
Yeah, but when
The people came to the United States, when my grandparents came to the United States, when your parents or grandparents came to the United States, they came for a reason. And basically, the reason was there's an opportunity to be better,
yes,
for life to be better.
I write about it.
Okay. When they did that, many Americans by that time didn't really believe that their life was going to be better, or they were worried about some poor schlub down the street who was going to get something that they didn't want him to have.
Yeah, but
Well, it was real, and we're talking about at the same time period.
yeah, but Bob, you come to America because you believe that life is going to be better. You get here and things are difficult, very difficult, because you have to begin to work. You have other obligations. The government expects certain things. That is I think it's quite normal. And and most of them in the past, over the past 200 years, they stayed. They stayed. The American population exploded.
Okay, they didn't go back for a variety of reasons, including the fact they didn't have the money to go back. But they believed in this, and many, not all, but many, managed to make what they felt was a good life, and that they felt that the kids had an opportunity to have even a better life.
I want to interrupt to say that I thought this has been a very good debate on various
I think
subjects.
we should continue it.
I don't even know what the debate was
It's
about at this
8:50.
point.
It's 8:59.
Okay.
So
Oh,
we'll
my
be
God.
signing off here.
Yeah.
All righty. Well,
Chuck, good to see you.
Well, I can't. I'd say the same, but I can't see you guys. So
No,
it's good to
no,
hear-
no, no. But
it's good to
but
hear- it's good
I
to-
sincerely hope that as soon as the
It's
weather
good-
breaks, we can all get together. At my place, I'll be thrilled.
it's good to hear your voice, Pat.
Thank you.
Okay, Bob, not so much.
He's old Mr. Mainstay. He,
I talk to him too often sometimes.
I understand.
Okay,
We-
good night all.
be good. Say hi to your wife for us.
We shall.